The following video contains content that may be offensive and sensible to some people. Viewer discretion is advised. Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Flags of America. As you can tell by that timestamp right there, yeah, this is a very long video because not only are we talking about America's flag at this time, but we're also talking about another set of flags that also happened within this time frame that I thought was important to talk about. Today we also talk about the Confederacy, but that will be in the second half of this video. So let's just jump over into what the actual national flag of America was. So yeah, that's what the American national flag is. But this flag also has a variant, but we'll get to it in a sec. This flag has 34 stars and 13 stripes, and it was in use from 1861 to 1863. So yeah. So, what state was added in the Union during this time? Let's find out right now. Here is the state that this flag now represents. Kansas. So yeah, Kansas is the new state. But as I said earlier, this flag also has a variant, as I will throw up on screen right now. As we can see, is that, there's 4 stars in each of the corners of the blue square, or the canton is what it's called. And 2 circles of stars with 1 star in the middle. I kind of like it. I mean, I like it. So, that's all of the actual national flags we have for today. Now we jump over into probably the most controversial part of this video. The Confederacy. So, the Confederacy. That's right. As you all know, the Confederacy seceded. Well, most of the southern states seceded during the election of 1860 because they didn't want Lincoln. So you know what? Screw your country, we're leaving! That's pretty much the Confederacy in a nutshell right there. So they left. They formed their own government, own constitution, own army, own navy, flag, and all that in a bag of nuts. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about all the Confederacy flags. Now, when a lot of people think of the first national flag of the Confederacy, they always default to this. But that is incorrect. Technically, the first flag was this. That's right, it's known as the Stars and Bars. And there's actually 4 different versions of it. There's one with 7 stars, 9 stars, 11 stars, and 13 stars. We're going to talk about each and every single one of them. So that's why this massive video is, so big and so long. Because the latter half of this video is all going to be about the Confederacy and the Confederacy flags. But we will talk about each Stars and Bars flag variant as we proceed through the video. Speaking of which, let's talk about the first one with 7 stars. So there you go. That's what the actual first flag looks like, as I obviously showed you in the last little portion. Now the whole Stars and Bars variants, all of those flags were used from 1861 to 1863. Also the same time frame of today's American flag with 34 stars and 13 stars with the inclusion of Kansas. However, this variant with 7 stars was from March 4th to May 21st, 1861. Yeah, just to give you a little bit of back history on the Stars and Bars flag, like all the variants in general, it's based off of the Austrian Empire flag during the time, and the Betsy Ross flag, as we talked about in episode 2 of our flag series. It was created by this guy, Nicola Marshall. Yeah, he's German, so that's why I kind of based it off of that. Which, fun fact, he also designed the Confederate soldier uniform, which also includes this hat. I got this at a Civil War reenactment in Sunbury, Ohio, which is just outside of Delaware, about half an hour from here, give or take. So, what states did this flag actually represent? Well, let's find out. Here are the states that seceded from the Union and joined the Confederacy in order by month and year. South Carolina, December of 1860. Mississippi, January of 1861. Florida, of January in 1861. Alabama, January of 1861. Georgia, January of 1861. Louisiana, of January of 1861. And Texas, February of 1861. So yeah, 7. I also want to bring up the fact that, after the Civil War and during the Reconstruction period, when the southern states were rejoining the Union, I decided to also go through when each of those states also rejoined the Union. But instead of doing it in order when they rejoined, I'm doing them in order on when they seceded. So it'll kind of be a little offline, out of line, but I'm pretty sure you can figure it out though. South Carolina rejoined in July of 1868. Mississippi rejoined February of 1870. Florida, June of 1868. Alabama, July of 1868. Georgia, of July of 1870. Louisiana, July of 1868. And Texas in March of 1870. Yeah. Now let's look at 9 stars with the stars and bars. So this one for the stars and bars has 9 stars. This flag was used from May 21st to July 2nd of 1861. 2 new states were added. Again, this was created by the same German guy, so don't worry about it. So, here are the 2 states that this new flag now adds. Here are the new states that seceded the Union and joined the Confederacy, with the month and year. Virginia, April of 1861. Arkansas, May of 1861. So yeah, sorry I kind of stuttered on the one with Virginia. I kind of had a blonde moment. I kind of blanked when I was thinking what the 4th month was. And like, oh yeah, it's April. Anyways, these 2 states rejoined the Union. Virginia in January of 1870, and Arkansas in June of 1868. Yeah. So now let's look at 11 stars. Alright, next one. 11 stars. This one was in use from July 2nd to November 28th, 1861. And, well, once again, as you can tell by the number, 2 new states seceded from the Union and joined the Confederacy. What's funny is that all the states that seceded to form the Confederacy all but one seceded in the same year, just, different times throughout the year. Only one that didn't secede in the same year was South Carolina in 1860. All the others were 1861. But, just a little neat little thing to think about. So let's see what states were actually, added to this flag. Here are the states that were added to this flag that seceded from the Union, along with the month and year that they did. North Carolina, May of 1861, and Tennessee, June of 1861. Alright, so once again, with these two states, this is when they rejoined the Union. North Carolina and Tennessee rejoined the Union, I should say, in July of 1868. So, yeah. And what's funny is that in my notes here, it says that North Carolina re-admitted into the Union on the 4th of July. So, that's pretty cool. So, now let's go into the last and final variant of the stars and bars. 13 stars. Alright, final stretch, at least for the stars and bars. This isn't the final stretch of the entire episode. That's coming a little later. Sorry. Just like how I said last week, it's as long as a beefer. It's a long one. Although, it's technically not the actual technical definition of the word beefer in my sense of a video, but it's close. At least for this series, it's a beefer. Anyways, 13 stars. As you can see, it's in the circular shape, just like one of our first variants of our first national flag. 13 stars, 13 stripes. As you can see, they actually, once again, the German guy took inspiration with this and used it in the new CSA flag. But as we'll soon find out in the next flag, that there was a lot of confusion between the Union battle flags and the Confederacy battle flags. But we'll get to that here in a sec. So, 13 stars on the stars and bars was used from November 28th of 1861 to May 1st of 1863. Yep. Now, here's the thing, is that for this flag, with the states that it represents, these states technically stayed with the Union, but in the Confederacy eyes, they saw them as brothers, so they're like, they're close enough, we'll add them, even though they're neutral. Yeah, as you know, they were the Union were the northern states, the Confederacy, obviously the southern states, and there were 4 border states that were kind of like either or, as I can remember at the top of my knowledge. Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, and I think Delaware. Yeah, that sounds about right. So this flag represents 2 of those border states that actually stayed with the Union but are, represented on the CSA flag. So let's find out what states they are. These are the states that this flag represents, but these states, once again, did not secede from the Union. Missouri, November of 1861, and Kentucky, December of 1861. So yeah, those states stayed with the Union, but were represented on the Confederate flag. Yeah. So, that's all the stars and bars flags we have, but we're not done with today's episode yet. We got 2 more flags to talk about. They're both pretty similar, So let's get into what the first one of the two is right now. So yeah, this flag. It's even right behind me. This is known as the stainless banner. Yeah, also, by the way, sorry if we went from natural light to artificial light. It's because, well, at the time of this stream recording, it's just almost 7 o'clock. And, yeah, it's starting to get dark a little earlier now. Since, fall. Even though it kind of didn't really feel like fall all this week. Until, like, Friday. But, that's besides the point. So, this flag was in use from 1863 to 1865. And as you can see, it has the flag of Northern Virginia. And that's basically what it is. And that's also what I have written down in my notes. So, you don't get to hear me talk loud about this flag. But the thing is, when people saw this flag, people thought it was too close to a surrender flag because, white is obviously the color of surrender. Insert French right here. So yeah. I actually got this flag a couple years ago when I went to Fort Sumter with my Boy Scout troop. It was pretty cool. We got to tour the look around the fort, but what really disappointed me was that, when you think of a fort, you think of it's huge, but really Fort Sumter's just small. Legit. It's ridiculous. But oh well. I still had fun though. We got to sleep on the USS Yorktown, which was an aircraft carrier, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the last and final flag of today's episode. Let's jump cut to show you what exactly it is. Alright. Last one, and then we're done for the day, I promise. This one right here is known as the bloodstained banner, which they used from March 4th to April 9th of 1865. According to my notes here, it is a white banner with a red vertical bar on the right-hand side. On the far right, as you see, obviously. It's obviously on screen right now. And it has the battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia. Although they kind of made it a little more rectangular. Because in the last one, I forgot to mention it, it's a little more square. Kind of like the actual one. And we're done for today. That's all the flags we have for today. Yeah, I know. It's pretty much, from here on out, it's pretty much smooth sailing. Although there are some variants here and there, but at least there's not a lot of flags that I have to talk about in one particular episode. As far as I know of. So, thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode where we talk about 35 stars and 13 stripes. Stay cool, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, click the circle on your right. Click the square on the left to watch the last series on my channel, which is Congress. I think you'll like it. See you all next time.